in my dreams. I do this for you. I do this for my mother, who's finally clean and no longer a fan. I do this for you. I do this for my sister, my wife and my kids, cause they part of the team. I do this for all the naysayers and haters who made me one of the greatest. I know it kills you inside, that's why I do this for you. I do this for my father, who I've only seen from time to time in my dreams. I do this for you. I do this for my mother, who's finally clean and no longer a fan. I do this for you. I do this for my sister, my wife and my kids, cause they part of the team. I do this for all the naysayers and haters who made me one of the greatest. I know it kills you inside, that's why I do this for you.
I do this for the kids who sit a bit outside the mix, who maybe cope through humor just to fit in for a bit, who never let the world know when depression's setting in. To all of those who know you, that impression don't exist, and it ain't counterfeit, it's just a way to counter it. I'm living things I dreamed about, I still encounter it. It ain't something that a cigarette or alcohol can fix, but all because of it, I flipped it quick, went on to write some hits. This a success, off another breath. This the first step in searching to be nothing less than be the best in what you do, to prove their strength in being you. Learn so much in chasing dreams that I never would in school. Depends on where your passion lie, just no passion never lie. Life presents distractions, but your actions have to fortify the things that you believe in. Have to scream it like a battle cry and leave the ones who didn't looking stupid while they're asking why. Couldn't lie, I really do this for the ones I love, those who treat the music as a vice and lyrics like a drug, those who need advice on how to lift their spirit high enough to break out of the box they make of lives they know aren't good enough. Just because it's how it is don't mean it's how it has to be. This is what the uninspired testifiers fail to see. Jealousy results from being that which others fail to be, and if it means you're not with me, that honestly sounds fair to me.
I do this for my father, who I've only seen from time to time in my dreams. I do this for you. I do this for my mother, who's finally clean and no longer a fan. I do this for you. I do this for my sister, my wife and my kids, cause they part of the team. I do this for all the naysayers and haters who made me one of the greatest. I know it kills you inside, that's why I do this for you.
Do this for my mother, she'll be working for the summer. Do this for my father, cause these days I often wonder what my life would have been like if I was not adopted, to grow up in a home where I was treated like a problem. I don't know, it's just a guess. Your guess probably good as mine. Lucky that I grew up in a home that wanted me to shine. Lucky that I grew up around some mountains we were taught to climb. Without that inspiration, I don't think that this would be my life. Do this for my friends who've scattered all across the country now. I'm out in Sweden walking back through life so I can write it down. Make a living off the sound, so crazy to say out loud. I'm the biggest thing since Travis Rice to come up out the town. Sorry, gotta stunt a little. Used to have my dreams belittled, but it's all a part of it. I know people's minds are fickle, lines between reality and dreams I blur like faded nights. Come up been so good for me, I wish that I could make it twice.
I do this for my father, who I've only seen from time to time in my dreams. I do this for you. I do this for my mother, who's finally clean and no longer a fan. I do this for you. I do this for my sister, my wife and my kids, cause they part of the team. I do this for all the naysayers and haters who made me one of the greatest. I know it kills you inside, that's why I do this for you.
Oh yeah, I do this for you, Pops. What's up, man? Thank you guys for being here tonight. Shout out to my father, the one and only T Money, Tone the Big Bone. That's what I call him. Shout out to my pops, man. Hey, you know, I almost didn't go live tonight. I feel a little under the weather. I'm going on vacation starting tomorrow with the beautiful Kim Jones. We're going to be on vacation for a couple of days, the whole week, really. I think I'll be back Sunday or Monday. But I wanted to tell you guys that I was thinking about my father today. And the reason I was thinking about him, and this ain't to be too sappy or nothing, is I made a post on Denver Harris. And I called Denver Harris a cancer for the LSU locker room. And I want everybody to understand something. I made a video back in December where I talked about Denver Harris. And in December, I said, this man needs a second chance. I hope he gets it at LSU with a new surrounding, because that environment in A&M is atrocious. The people in A&M don't know how to lead players. They don't know how to develop players. It's a toxic environment. I said all these things, scathing things about A&M, because in December, A&M had 27 players in the transfer portal, and 10 of them were from the recruiting class from 2021 or 2022 when, it was the greatest recruiting class of all time. And I said they recruited incorrectly. They didn't check everybody's character, but the university's to blame. And that's where I placed the blame, and that's what the whole video said. And then all those players dispersed in the transfer portal, and they went to other teams. And first and foremost was Ish Harris going to Houston, eventually failing out, doesn't have grades. Now he's at a JUCO. Shout out to, I believe, Kilgore. I want to tell you, Chris Marshall went to Ole Miss, got removed and kicked off the team, and he's now at Kilgore. Community college, by the way. Junior college, community college, whatever you want to call it. JUCO. Smoke Bowie goes to Oklahoma or goes to Georgia, and he's no longer on the team. And now you have Denver Harris on his last leg, kicked out of the team photo. There's no record of him being on this team moving forward historically. And if he does anything wrong, he'll be off the website and he'll never have been in the photo, on the roster, on the 2 deep. He's currently third string. Why are we even talking about this young man in a positive light? So I called him a cancer. I said he's detrimental to your locker room, your team, continuity, and winning. And what people need to understand is when they go to defend this young man, there's a couple of things they say to me. Rico, you're racist. You're talking negatively about a black person, and you are not black. You can't do that. Well, number one, there's no such thing. There's no such thing in the world that says I can't cover sports that are played by predominantly black people. And I will say negative things about players, if warranted, if valid, and it just so happens that they're black. No one's racist here. Okay? If you guys knew me as a man and knew my tendencies, my circle, who I run with, how I live my life, it is the most comical thing. And I'm not saying I have a black friend. I'm saying I only associate with a certain demographic and I only carry myself a certain way, and it ain't the privileged. We come from the gutter. We come from nothing, and we started from the bottom, now we're here. So I chop it up with a different circle of people you're not used to. And I don't need a front and put that on camera for everybody to see. I don't need street cred. I got it. So it bugs me when people approach me like this. But they said to me, the other defense is, Rico, give him a break. He's just a kid. He's just a kid. He's 19 years old. He's just a kid. And I'm telling you, I thought about my father. Because my father was 20 years old. 1 year older when I was born. High school dropout. 3 kids. And a 4th one on the way. I got a younger sister. She ain't, but she was born in the next year. My father had 4 kids at 21, 3 at 20. Is he just a kid? Could he tell the bill collectors, give me a break, I'm just a kid? What about when he was 26 and he had 6-year-olds and a 9-year-old? And we were asking him for lunch money, and I can remember going to the ATM, and he couldn't pull out $20. You got mouths to feed in this world, and he couldn't pull out $20. It said insufficient funds. He couldn't get $20. I remember him getting paid from his construction job, and his boss gave him a check on Friday. We were so excited. We went to go get this check. It was $430 for the week. Went to go get the check. He got it. Went straight to the bank to cash it so we could get a $5 Little Caesars pizza that night. It was going to be 2 large pizzas for $5 or $10, right? Something like that. 2 for $9.99. And when he walked into the bank, they told him the check had bounced. The account that his boss was paying him from didn't pay him. He had no money. And we didn't eat that weekend. And if we did, it was like potatoes. My father would take potatoes, he would skin them, and he would go to a cheese grater, and he would grate them on one side of it, like hash browns. And then he would turn this cheese grater, it was a block, he would turn it to another side, and the next night he would cut it a different way. And he would just fry them in oil. And every night we thought we were getting a different meal. But it was just him cutting the potatoes with different designs off the cheese grater. And he would just put a lot of pato sauce on it, a lot of hot sauce on it. So if we tried to eat too much, it would just be I would burn us. We wouldn't want to have a lot. Was he just a kid? I'm just curious. Was he just a kid, or was he trying to figure life out with no safety net? Because there was no safety net. There was nothing to fall back on. So when you grow up in environments like that, you get really frustrated when people of equal age, not even equal levels of responsibility, but different levels of opportunity. People don't get it. I got people on TikTok saying you didn't play any sports growing up. I've been an athlete my entire life. I've played sports my entire life. We were sponsored athletes. My twin brother and I were exceptional athletes, and people would pay for us to play sports. Shout out to my twin brother. He would win MVP. I would get Player of the Year. What's the difference? I don't know. But we had NFL players on our teams, and they didn't win these awards. We were special, but we both joined the Army because you had to eat. You had to figure it out. We didn't know how to go to college. It wasn't part of our structure, is what I'll say. From the hood. Played every sport there ever was, man. You guys don't know. And when we got the caps, we got all the caps coming in. The children are writing cap. Children are cap. You know, there's teammates and young men that I coached in the chat every day. Young men that played with me, played against me, or that I coached in the chat every single day. You don't get to make this up when you have this many followers. You got to tell the truth. So I just want to know if these are kids. That's all I want to know. Are these kids or are they adults? Because there's a different standard. There was a different standard for my father, different standard for me. I was 18 years old and became a sports writer before I joined the Army. I've shown you guys the receipts. I was a sports writer. Had a job and an apartment at 18. What are we doing? Was I just a kid? No, I had adult-like responsibilities. My dog is humping my arm right now. She wants to make a cameo, just so you guys are aware. Shout out to them. But let's see what else is trending today. Let's talk about it. Zeke Elliott. Shout out to Zeke Elliott getting signed by the Patriots. Guys, I don't have any still shots up. I was busy packing for my vacation. Zeke Elliott getting signed by the Patriots. One of the top 10 highest paid running backs in the league. His agent, I need to look it up, and I don't like not knowing, right? Rico knows. His agent needs to be applauded for getting this type of payday. It's absurd. It's absurd. This man got paid $3 million, guaranteed, $1 million signing bonus, skipped half of the preseason or half of, camp. Is he in shape? I don't know. How productive is he going to be? How effective is he going to be? I don't know. You guys don't get it. He got his money. Congratulations. Patriots don't care. Their salary cap, they were under the cap, and they're just spending some money on an extra dude out there. But I want to know, are they going to re-sign any of their running backs after their rookie deal? And if they are they going to sign them for more than this? Because they're going to have to. Zeke has to be the starter. The amount of money they're paying Zeke, he's getting starter money. Not just, he's getting top 10 money. He's not getting backup money. He has to get the brunt of the carries. Everybody needs to understand that. Dalvin Cook, getting paid twice as much. It's bananas. Dalvin Cook getting paid twice as much. Dalvin Cook's like the third highest paid running back in the league. It's crazy. Who's paying these guys? Just because they pouted and moaned and said they need more money, I wouldn't have gave in. I wouldn't have paid them a dime. $2 million tops. They're 1-year rentals. I'm doing $2 million. And I obviously wouldn't have signed them. I wouldn't have got them. Now, the Dalvin Cook signing boggles my mind. It's insane. There is no room in that running back room. There's no way you keep all those running backs. The Jets are going to have to let somebody go, and whoever they release is going to get claimed off waivers. Now, there's no way around it. Carter, Abanikanda, whoever they release, I'm sorry, what's his face from Georgia? Xavier White? Bam? Whoever they release, one of these guys is going to have to get cut. They can't make it. They all can't make it. Unless you're going into the season with 5 wide receivers. That's not happening. So somebody's getting cut. And this is the time of the year where I get super excited. The final cuts going into the regular season, last week of the preseason. I start looking at these final cuts. You guys, every player they cut is somebody I care about. Everybody they cut is somebody I care about, and I get super excited about it. So come on, Ash, down. Enough. I'm trying to do my show. Thank you, sweetie. Go play. Sorry about that, guys. So, shout out to the Jets. I want to know what they're going to do. I'm interested. It's remarkable. I'm excited. Zach Martin ended his holdout. Zach Martin went ahead and finally signed for 2 years with the Cowboys. Get him back into practice. He saw that little bowling ball, that little silver bullet, that little, I want to call him a flea. The deuce is loose. I'm telling you, man, that'll excite anybody. Deuce Vaughn running style will excite and frustrate every offensive lineman in America. And if you're Zach Martin, you say, man, I got to get back out there. We might have a 2,000-yard rusher someday. This little guy is darting around. Now, there was a story yesterday, and I talked about it at length, and it was the Michael Orr story, the blind side. And I said he got blindsided. Now, I also was very, very cautious to say this is a one-sided story. We are hearing from Michael Orr, and I'm going to tell you right now, there are two pockets of people. There are those that hear the initial accusation and assume the Tuohys are guilty and immediately vilify them, hate them, and don't want to learn anything else and go about the rest of their life. I got it all in my comments. People writing, man, you can't trust them white people. 90% of people got hidden agendas. They used him. This is slavery. I'm serious. I've read it all. I got a million comments about this. And what I want to tell you guys is it doesn't fly with me because there's two sides to this. And the bigger portion is, did you get a piece of that lump sum money, which they say he did get? If you're missing out on royalties, you might have, and I'm pretty sure they're going to say that he told them, don't worry about it. I don't need any revenue from the money outside of the lump sum. Don't worry about it because I'm making millions upon millions of dollars in the NFL. And he was. But now that that revenue's gone, you start looking around going, man, I'm entitled to something for the rest of my life. Where is it? And the Tuohys came out today and said, guys, this is a quote-unquote shakedown. This is a shakedown. And I expect them to say nothing less. The Tuohys might have a point. This does seem very suspicious to come out with a shakedown. How many years after? 13 years after the movie dropped? Something absurd like that. There's no statute of limitations on this, but what I will say is if you were getting ripped off for this long, you would have said something. I know I would have. You can't play me like that, right? It's unfortunate. Now we have two sides of the story, and we say, what do we do? Right? I saw the Barstool interview. I didn't really care. The reason why I don't care about the Barstool interview is, first and foremost, they're interviewing a child. Now, he's an adult today, but when the deal was made, the conservatorship was signed, the movie was made, all that, he was a kid. You can't blame the kids. The kids weren't in on it. They weren't in cahoots in the collusion. No, this is two parents, right? Two caregivers, two parents, two guardians, whatever you want to call them, who had to make a decision, very business-like oriented decision, and they used attorneys. So there's a paper trail to all of this. And that's the best part about it is there's nothing hidden here. It's not like they took his money and didn't tell anyone. But here's the thing. Everybody who's up in arms and saying how terrible the Tuohys are and telling me how this is racism and slavery and all this shit. Where were you guys when Don King was ripping off Mike Tyson? Where were you when Don King was ripping off Roy Jones Jr.? Why is it okay for a black man to do this to black athletes? But the minute these two parents provide a better family and a better life for this young man and get him into college, somewhere he would have never gotten without them, That's not even debatable. That's not even up for debate. He needed immense tutoring, 24/7 tutoring. They paid for and provided. They got him a certain standard of education, got him to a point where he can go attend a university and play football, and he's achieved all his dreams because of it. At what point is that an equal exchange? Or are we going to sit here and vilify them, but we're going to talk about Don King every day like it ain't shit. We're going to laugh about it. That man ripped off millionaires. There's no way I just let it slide like that, man. I'm telling you, I call it for what it is. And that's what frustrates me, is our selective outrage. Selective outrage. People will be in my comments, say, I knew it, da-da-da-da-da, and then they'll roll out and never come back. And I don't get it. That's all I'm saying. So, shout out to the Tuies. I hope they did the right thing. I hope they didn't lie. If they did, shame on them. Give the man his proceeds. The only thing I see wrong here is the revenue from the movie. Nothing else. I don't have an issue with anything else. Your boy AR-15 was now named... He was now named the starting quarterback for the Colts. Yeah. We knew this was coming. It's not a surprise. But I just want to know. When you guys see quarterbacks going to the NFL and you think they're going to be good quarterbacks and they don't get a fair shot, they don't get a chance to start, they never get there's always like, oh, yeah, we got a new slate, clean slate here, there. What are we doing? Because Gardner Minshew is worlds better than Anthony Richardson right now. Anthony Richardson should be getting all his reps at practice, not baptism by fire. I'm sure you guys are going to love the explosive plays on Sunday. I'm going to love the I told you so videos I'm going to make. I'm going to make a lot of money off Anthony Richardson. I'm telling you right now, I'm making a lot of money off the back of Anthony Richardson. I'm going to make videos, and I'm going to talk about his performance. They're going to get 100,000 views. And I'm going to make money because he's going to be atrocious. The amount of turnovers that man's going to have, you're never going to be surprised. He can't complete 60% of his passes. It's not happening. He's not accurate. Rico, he knew where to go with the ball. Yeah, he knew where to go with the ball, but he's not throwing it where it needs to go. Even if he knows where to go with it, it's not going there. Oh, I saw him drop it in the bucket. I saw this. He doesn't throw a catchable pass. If you guys have ever caught passes, I was a wide receiver for many years. If you ever caught passes from quarterbacks, there are different quarterbacks. There are those that understand when to gun it, when to thread the needle, when to put a little touch on it, a little air on it, let it fall into the basket. There are those that just miss every damn time. I can remember doing warm-ups as you progress through the passing tree. So it's called pat and go. We would do 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s. And once you get to about 6 on the route tree was a post corner. I do not want to run post corners for any of these other dudes because they're just going to miss me 100 times, and I'm just running routes. I'm just tired, and I'm running routes, and I'm tired. It's ultimately why I moved to free safety. I'm tired of running routes and not getting the rock. Coach sit me down. Come on, Rico, we need you. Nah. Can't do it. I'm running routes, and you can't get me the rock. I'm out of here. What do you think's going to happen? These Colts wide receivers aren't going to get the rock. You're going to see this ball's going everywhere. Oh, but he's great, Rico. He's an athlete. Yeah. Great scout team quarterback, bro. He's a scout team quarterback. And he's an amazing one at that. All right, let's get to the chat. I'll get to your questions, and we'll go from there. Rico, looking forward to the live. Dropping question early. What up, TDC? I've never seen you before. What is your assessment of David Tuazuma, defensive lineman? The Colorado Buffs, along with other colleges, have extended him offers. I don't know that name, David Tuazuma. Do you mean David Azuma? Maybe David Azuma without the Tua in front of it? He's a defensive lineman. If I remember correctly, this is a kid. I don't know if he's in school right now, but I remember he was telling everybody he was 6'3", 250 maybe, and then he put on his huddle tape that he ran a 4.3 40, and he had a 4.2 GPA. It was some outrageous numbers all the way around. 39-inch vert. It was just some Madden numbers. But his film looked great. David Azuma, I think his name was. I don't know Azuma. So break that down for me, TDC, if you're even here. I don't know. You wrote that question really early, I'm assuming, because I was supposed to start the show at 6. So I'm sorry about that. AJ interviews. Does it worry you that neither Devin Brown or Kyle McCord have stood out enough to earn the starting job? I'm starting to get worried because this city will go up in flames if we lose to Michigan again. So AJ interviews is from Columbus, Ohio, apparently, or nearby. And he's worried about Ohio State. Let me say this to you, AJ. First and foremost, you ask me, does it worry me? It does not worry me because I don't give two flying shits about anybody in that regard, okay? So it doesn't worry me if they don't have a starting quarterback, or they do, or whoever's not doing it. But let me tell you this. Any team that has two quarterbacks doesn't have a quarterback. Let me make that clear again. Any team that has two quarterbacks doesn't have one because you don't have the locker room. Half the team believes in one guy, the other half the team believes in another. There's no such thing as we believe in both of them equally. Nope. You have a divided locker room, and you don't know where to go with it. Now, if you lose to Michigan, they're going to go up in flames. I don't believe that, but losing to Michigan is very realistic. It's very realistic. They look loaded this year. Does Ohio University, shout out to the Bobcats and the MAC, still beat San Diego State week 0 if Rourke does not end up playing? I didn't know Rourke's injured. Is Rourke injured still? Did he tear his ACL? He's still not recovered? I'll have to look in to see if Rourke's not ready yet. If he's still not practicing and not ready, that's a problem. I think Ohio still wins that game. Ohio has Wiggums. He's a great wide receiver, and they have Bangora. DeMatha Catholic. Great running back from the DMV area. 1,000-yard rusher last year as a freshman. Just a stud of a dude. And I think Ohio, the Bobcats, I think they're loaded to win the MAC. Hopefully Rourke gets back. Welcome, everybody. What up, Kim? A couple of things. Please only ask your question once. Thank you. Rico will get to it. Check out the merch at ricoknows.org. Thank you very much. And most importantly, hit that like button. Thank you, guys. We got a lot of people in here. We've got about 100 people watching between TikTok and YouTube. And I'm gonna need some more likes than just those 12. If you need to step out of the show, go hit like and come back in. We appreciate it. Please help us with the likes. It helps populate this to everybody. Say yo. Just waiting on my T-shirt so I can rock it at Costco. Believe that. Willie Bobo, if you didn't know, he's the contest winner. He got his own custom T-shirt. It is in my vehicle right now. We're actually waiting on another gift to send it your way, and we'll make it happen. Kim says, Willie Bobo. Rico has it. Yes, I do. We will get it mailed to you as soon as possible. Rico's waiting for something else. There you go. Thank you, nice. Yep. Waiting. I just spoke with Rico. He isn't feeling well. This is true. I had a migraine headache. I was on a sugar detox. Hope you get better, bro. Thanks. Any updates? I'm here. Let's go. What up, Lewis Henton? Roll Tide Roll. Thank you for being here. Indecisive Angel. Yo, Dalvin to the Jets. Kind of weird, huh? Hey, everybody wants to play with Aaron Rodgers. I don't know why. I think he's a terrible teammate. JT said, Rico, what up, brother? What up, bruh? Tyler Rowan, in your opinion, what is the Seminoles football with Jordan Travis at the helm capable of this year? I'm a Dogs fan, but it's good to see them back in relevance. Yeah, I think they're capable of winning the national title. They're capable of it. Will they do it? I don't know. But they have such a loaded team. This is a peak. You know, this when you look at your team and you see, are they going to play at their best this season? Do they have all the talent back? Yeah, Jared Verse didn't come back just to work on his draft stock. They have amazing players everywhere you look. Their starting wide receivers are enormous. Their playmakers, their running back, like everything they got is real. So I like Florida State immensely this year. It's just a matter of competing with Clemson and then keeping it clean all season. So good luck to them. Also, what is your take on Zeke and the Pats deal? Talked about it. I think he got tremendously overpaid. I wouldn't have done it, and I think it's a little ridiculous. Out of 10, how would you grade how well Jake Haener did this preseason game? I'd probably give him a 6 or a 7. Liam, I don't like interceptions. I do like you taking chances, but I don't like interceptions. Andrew Case said, what's your favorite color? My favorite color is navy blue, bro. I went to college on soccer scholarship, but I'm not even still playing, and I'm set to go to Navy. You always find a way. It's not about what you have when you matter. It's how you get there, for sure. Guys, I didn't finish my college degree till I was 37 years old. 37 years old. That's how long it took me to get my bachelor's. Life's a journey. Roll with it. Do your thing. Zeke shouldn't be the starter. Agree, but they're going to pay him. How far into MMA did you go, Rico? Random name. What do you mean, how far into MMA did I go? I fought in cages. I fought at practice. Fought in training. I taught, and I coached, and I've got paid to teach and coach as recently as this year. So I used to teach MMA and martial arts this year. I was getting paid. It was a job. I can do it for a living. I've been doing it for over 20 years. So there you go. Out of talent, Stevenson is 10 times better, dog. Do you play fantasy football? Yeah, Liam, I'm in a league. I'm playing with some guys I know. Plan to dominate and beat everybody. Real talk. You're like the Fabrizio Romano of college football. I don't even know who the hell that is. What's good, Rico? Hope you're having an amazing vacation, my guy. Corey Flores' vacation starts tomorrow. Thank you very much. I'll hit the road and head up to Virginia tomorrow. Rico, I'm thinking Texas versus Houston has trap game written all over it. What do you think? Also, why is Alabama playing at South Florida? So, first and foremost, schedules are made years in advance, especially out-of-conference schedules. Those are made way in advance, and teams will schedule certain teams that need revenue, want to do share of the gate, all kinds of stuff. So everybody needs to play everyone. That's fine. Not everybody wants to line up to play Alabama in the preseason because they don't want to have a loss, right? You're not going to find 4 marquee programs that want to play Alabama in the preseason. They would rather have other wins. And they want home games. So when you're doing a pairing with a powerhouse, it's got to be a home and home. So you're going to host one, they're going to host one. And you could then pick a cupcake, like South Florida, and force them to come to your place over and over. And you get all the revenue, right? And you give them what you need. So your stadium's bigger than theirs type deal. Do I think Texas versus Houston is a trap game? Yeah, sure. I think every game is a trap game. Every game you can lose. It's college football. The guys again across from you want to beat you. And the most inconsistent thing in this world is a male between the ages of 18 and 24, if you think about it. So don't ever be surprised when they don't show up and they fall flat on their face and don't play great. That's how that goes. Rico, what do you think about Patriots defensive end Keon White's impressive debut? Do you think he'll have a great season? So I don't know about a great season, John White. What I do know is that he fell in the draft for whatever reason, and I don't know why. Like, I don't understand why teams were not drafting him. I talked about this in my draft preview for the Patriots. Go watch. If you go on TikTok, I have a playlist at my homepage. On my homepage, if you go above the videos, you'll see all these little rectangles. Those are the playlists. Scroll through the playlist till you find NFL Draft Review, not preview, but review, and I review every single draft class. And when you find the Patriots one, they're in alphabetical by city. So look for New England. It'll be in the middle, 14th letter in the alphabet. And you'll find where I talk about Keon White, and I say, hey, man, he dropped. It's a steal. Did you hear his song? Dominique, I didn't hear his song. No. He's talking Anthony Richardson's song. No, I didn't listen to it. Got him in the parlay, but fading. I'm with Rico. Thank you very much. Shout out to Paguno. He's the man. Don King created Ali and Larry Holmes. Cool. He ripped off everybody else. Any chance Jake Hayner starts over Carr this season? Not necessarily Jason Young. I would hope not. People need to get out of the habit of thinking rookies need to start. Rookies come in just like true freshmen. I don't give a shit if you're a 5-star or not. You shouldn't be entitled to the too deep by any means. You need to learn the ropes, learn to be a professional. He should learn how to prepare for games and how to film study with Carr. That's what he needs to learn all season. I don't need to see him in a game. That'd be terrible. What's good, Rico? Glad to see you. Thank you very much, Ryan Bell. Glad to see you as well. Andrew Florick, he says, is Ryan Day on the hot seat if they lose to Michigan again? I don't think so. I think that's absurd. When you start wanting to fire coaches who lose one game and get to the playoffs, like they were in the college football playoffs. You don't fire someone in the college football playoffs. You just don't. That's absurd. You can fire somebody who doesn't make a bowl game, somebody who consistently makes a substandard bowl game, but you're talking about the playoffs? The playoffs? Nah. Tell me this. Does anybody want to fire Lincoln Riley? Does anybody want to fire Lincoln Riley? Lincoln Riley lost to Utah twice in the conference championship game. That's essentially a rival there. They lost to him. And he didn't get to the playoffs. But for some reason, nobody's screaming, let's fire him. No one's saying he's on the hot seat. You know who they're saying is on the hot seat? It's the worst thing. You Big Ten fans are the worst. I hear two names on the hot seat. Frazier, right? Frazier and Ryan Day. What are we doing? It doesn't make any sense to me. Doesn't make sense to me. Thoughts on Will Johnson? None really. We hear, what up, Bobo? Sergio Mendoza said, Rico, what games are you most excited about to see week 1 of college football? So Sergio Mendoza, week 1 is a little different from week 0 because I'm more excited about week 0 right now. That's the first week. But week 1, Colorado TCU, Clemson Duke. I'd have to go and look, but I think there's 2 more I'm really excited about. Somebody tell me, Texas, Alabama, is that week 2? Is that week 2? I think that's week 2. So North Carolina, South Carolina. I want to say they play week 1, right? Am I getting that right? Let me know. I'm excited about it. They just said that if the Tui family didn't pay him $15 million, he would go public with the story. Yeah, exactly. It's a shakedown. Exploitation. Yup, I'm a new sub. D. Tuazuma is a grad student and transfer portal from Alabama Birmingham. Thanks for the insight you did share. Huh. I'm going to have to go look. UAB? I'll go look. Do you feel Texas Tech should be ranked? Yes, Brado, I have them ranked in my top 20. I think they were in my top 25. I have them number 20. I have a preseason poll. I have the number 20. Who would be the best under the radar team you could see making a run this year like TCU last year? So Andrew Florick, I don't think runs like the one TCU made last year are done every year. They're not. If you look at the playoff teams, it's generally perennial powers. You don't see people making a run like that. It just doesn't happen. It's not common. I don't try to predict that happening every single year. I know that Wisconsin, if you're ignoring them, Wisconsin has the capability to be 11-1 next year. South Alabama has a similar capability. UTSA going undefeated, possible. So I've got those 3 that come to mind immediately. Wisconsin, South Alabama, and UTSA all have a chance to really make some noise next season. If you want to put a group of 5 team in, I just named 2 of them. If you want to put in a Power 5, let's see Wisconsin get it done. Jets are unbeatable. Oh, by the way, another team that could go and make a run like this where no one's paying attention is Oregon State. Let's go name somebody. Oregon State. Jets are unbeatable. Okay. College football. How far into the season before you get a solid feeling for the ranking hierarchy? Have you tracked how accurate some of the high-profile pundits are with their rankings? I think it's a fraud. So, no, I don't even have to track them. It's a fraud. I don't even have to track them. They're all wrong. Remember, they had A&M number 6 in their preseason poll last year. They're all wrong. So I don't even worry about that. I don't even care about any of it. Now, I always feel like I have a good grasp of the ranking hierarchy from day one. But the teams will get injured. They'll prove you right. They'll prove you wrong. Some will underachieve. Some will overachieve. And you have to adjust as you go. But I always feel like if you study the rosters and know what they're capable of before the season starts, you don't miss nearly as bad as some of these others. Like, people were quoting me something called the power index all week. Rico, Florida's got a power index of 20. You got to respect them. They're going to be in the top 25. They got a power index. It's like, what website did you read this on? Whose Twitter told you this nonsense of power index? Who made this up? This is not a thing. Power index simply means the amount of stars they have, the blue chip recruits they have. It's the blue chip ratio. You don't know. This is Yeah, that entire formula and consistency existed before the transfer portal. You can circumvent that 100 days over because of the transfer portal. You don't have to get 5-star players. You go get 1,000-yard receivers. Like, you could tell me you signed a 5-star wide receiver. Who's the kid? Andy Jean, Florida. Signed a 5-star wide receiver. Everybody's talking about it. They got a 5-star wide receiver. Andy Jean, he's going to be in the starting lineup. 5-star wide receiver, 5-star wide. Yeah, Louisville signed Jamari Thrash, an 1,100-yard receiver from Georgia State. A 3-star receiver, but he's had 1,100 yards in college. How many yards you had? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm more interested in actual production transferring in and making the two deep and contributing immediately than I could ever care about your recruiting class that doesn't make the two deep and doesn't contribute immediately. Look at Alabama. They had the number one recruiting class. How many of those true freshmen are starting? I got Caleb Downs right now. Who else? Who else is going to impact their win-loss ratio, their win-loss record? Who? You know who impacted their win-loss record last year? A transfer. Shout out to Jahmyr Gibbs. Okay? Transfers provide immediate dividends. And they've never had this before. This is a new thing. This is not the 2012. Well, technically, for the last 20 years, you've got to have at least 80% of your roster 5 stars, 5 and 4 stars. It's what they say on Twitter all over the place. Rico, you don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, I do. They don't know what they're talking about. Have you ever gotten a back-to-back 1,000-yard rusher in the transfer portal? Look, Minnesota did not get a star running back in their recruiting class, but they got Sean Tyler to come in from Western Michigan, and he's rushed for over 1,000 yards back-to-back years. So if you think Minnesota's missing Mo Ibrahim, I got another news for you. You got a back-to-back 1,000-yard rusher. It's different, bro. People not understanding what's going on. Wisconsin has had one of the worst quarterbacks for the last 3 years. And then they just got a Davey O'Brien semifinalist in the transfer portal. This is not getting a 5-star recruit. This is not getting 4-star Nick Evers, who's thrown one incompletion in his whole life, to show up and be like, yeah, we got a new starter. We got Nick Evers. Hey, Rico, who do you think is going to start at Wisconsin? Nick Evers? Or Tanner Mordecai? I'm looking at you like, what? This is just like you guys asking me who's going to start for Tampa Bay. Is Baker Mayfield going to start, or is it going to be Kyle Trask? Like, Baker Mayfield's thrown 100 touchdowns in his NFL career. Started 67 games. And Kyle Trask has never played. He's never started a game. You think there's a quarterback battle there? They might say that shit for the media. They might do that shit for you guys. The coaches are looking around going, we got a guy who's done this before 100 times, and we got another guy over here who's never done it. It's apples and oranges. So I feel like I have a good grasp on the ranking hierarchy because I know the rosters. I know who's on these teams. And I know when a player's good. And it ain't about, was he a 5-star or not? What do you think of Manning from Texas, Rico? Once again, why are we talking about true freshmen that aren't in the 2 deep? I don't get it. I don't understand what's your guys' infatuation with recruits that are not in the 2 deep. It doesn't make sense. Oh, Rico, is Dante Moore going to start at UCLA? No. What about Rashad at Arizona State? What about him? What about Nico at Tennessee? None of these guys are starting, bro. They're not in the 2 deep. Stop it. Rico, can we get some college football picks for next weekend? Notre Dame by 3 touchdowns versus Navy. You know, I try not to guess at scores. I don't talk spreads or scores, and I don't want to give you guys any information for your gambling habits. That's right now. I don't got any love for that at all. I will pick winners. I will tell you my upsets every week. We probably won't hit on them because we're going to go way deep. We're going to pick some crazy stuff. Okay? Jackson Dart going to ball. I believe so. I think Jackson Dart has a big year this year for Ole Miss. I think he's playing better. He's more mature. He's got way better wide receivers. I promise. He's got better wide receivers this year. Shout out to Trey Harris. Shout out to a young man who just transferred in from La Tech and is going to shock the world. Little guy. You'll see. I'll come back to this video and I'll be like, I was right. You were all wrong. Just letting you know. Rico, are you part of the Commander Nation? Are you referring to the Commanders? I'm not a fan of any team. I just cover sports. Glad to see Theo's son is doing well. Unexpected hero. So first and foremost, I believe Theo Ash is a virgin. I believe he gets nervous around women, and he will never procreate and has no children. So that's number one. You can say what you want, but I'm pretty sure he's socially awkward. And he looks like he smells like a wet dog. There's people like this. They just walk around and smell like sobacos. You don't know what the armpits. They're missing deodorant. That man wears hair bands And I'm not talking about the 80s hair bands. I'm talking about things in your hair to hold your bangs out of your face. It's embarrassing. Rico, do you think UTSA will take a step back without Zachary Franklin? Also, thoughts on NIU, BC, week 1. Who's winning that? So, I'm going to go with BC week 1 just because I think NIU is one of the worst teams out there. And any team losing Zachary Franklin is going to be worse than it was. Now, does UTSA have enough juice outside of Zachary Franklin? Hell yes, they do. They do. And I talked about it at length in my top 10 group of 5 wide receivers. I talked about it. Who's their running back? Kavorian, right? Kavorian Banks? Kavorian Barnes, my bad. Kavorian Barnes. Great running back. Just needs to rock more. So it's going to take a little bit of balance, a little bit of magic from Frank Harris. But I think UTSA gets really good players, and I think they have a good team. So I think they'll be okay. But, yeah, they're going to take a step back in the fact that they're going to the American, and the American's a lot harder to win than Conference USA. So that'll be difficult. They also play Tennessee, which is not helpful for any Group of 5 team having to try to compete with Tennessee. Not a good matchup, right? Not a good matchup, if you ask me. Give me a second here. I'm trying to fix my mic and adjust my volume. We should be good right there. LSU, FSU. Yeah, it's the game. You're saying the week 1 game you care about? You know, what's funny is FSU wins that game last year, and ESPN never talks about it all season. ESPN never talks about it all season. FSU, LSU finished with even records. They finished with the same record in the final polls, and Kirby Smart puts LSU number 12, FSU number 18, despite FSU beating them head-to-head. It's embarrassing. People give Florida State no credit for having beat LSU. I got to hear about how great LSU is and how great the SEC is. They lost to Florida State. Oh, there's a new coaching staff. It was first game of the season. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, new coaching staff, first game of the season for Florida as well. And Florida won their game against Utah and then literally laid an egg the rest of the year. So what are we doing? Duke won't have the athletes to match Clemson. Should be a bloodbath. Al Green, tell me you don't know Duke without telling me you don't know Duke. Duke has an amazing team. Duke almost won 10 games last year. They won 9 games because they won their bowl game. Elko's real, and Riley Leonard is going to be the best player on the field when Duke and Clemson play each other. Riley Leonard, it will be the best player on the field. Yeah. Just letting you know. I mean, that's what an upset is. Guessing? Going out on a limb? Yeah. People been treating Day like an intern since he came in. Only done wonders for OSU. Yeah. You're talking about Coach Day. Yeah, for sure. If this is a shakedown, he should be ashamed of himself. I am for him. Yeah, exactly, Lewis. It's terrible. Do you think Jaden Daniels is the real deal? I do. I like him. I don't believe LSU has any shot at anything besides maybe the Outback Bowl. So I'm not going to name specific bowls, but I think LSU has a really good team and a really good chance to win this year if their offensive line can hold up. They have a lot of depth issues on the offensive line this offseason, but they killed it in the transfer portal. They did great, and Jaden Daniels took a ton of sacks last season, and he still didn't throw a lot of picks. He still played better than Will Levis. So Jaden Daniels, to me, is the key to success. If he makes smart plays with the ball, keep following Brian Kelly's coaching, he'll be fine. I like LSU a lot, guys. I do. I had them number 4 in my polls, my top-rated SEC team. If they can put it all together, then more power to them. But I don't know. But I do think right now they're great. I love them. So there you go. Love's a strong word. Thoughts on Tennessee versus Virginia? It won't be a game, but can't wait for the first game. Okay. Well, I think Tennessee wins in a blowout. Thoughts on Georgia winning every game by 21 or more points? Not a chance, David Parker. That's just you guys don't understand what's going on here. Georgia does not have an explosive offense. Georgia doesn't score a ton of points like that. Rest in peace to Alex Collins. Most Arkansas fans grew up watching McFadden. I grew up watching AC3. He was a stud. Yep, 3,000-yard, 1,000-yard seasons. What do you think about Brennan Rice this season? I think he better catch the ball and play much better. Yo, Rico, can you give a more in-depth reason why Denver Harris is being cut or dismissed? Well, he's not being cut or dismissed. He's just being told that he can't be in the team photo as punishment, and he's probably going to be cut or dismissed if he has another outburst, another immature act. I heard they're just making him run with the third-team defense so far as punishment. No. He's third-team defense. He's not. He's never been in the first two. LSU's got great corners. Losing 2 DBs will impact their game. Florida State, no. It is what it is. LSU's slim at DB. FSU's loaded at wide receiver. There's only one football, Walker Colt. There's only one football. You can only throw it to one guy at a time. All right? Zy Alexander's real. Deuce Chestnut's real. Like, they're fine. People need to understand. They're fine. It's just Denver Harris went to the locker room after a fight and tried to fight again in the locker room. He tried to take it off the field. You can't do that. I don't get down with that. All right. If Drew Pine ends up starting at Arizona State, what do you think is the best case scenario for them? I feel like Pine is a hit or miss quarterback. Best case scenario, 6 games. Worst case scenario, 3 games. There you go. What up, Rico Mix? Hey, what up, Danny De La Garza? Hey, shout out to Daniel De La Garza for being here. Danny D. That's somebody who knows me in real life. Shout out to him. He can tell you if I'm a real athlete or not, whether I'm capping, that played sports my whole life, anything like that. All these kids say, you guys say ridiculous things. He can tell you. He knows the deal. Yeah, Jordan Travis is going to torch LSU secondary. If this game was week 5, LSU should win, but it's week 1. Yeah, that's all garbage. None of that really matters, guys. The players got to play. You guys are just talking about paper. Rico, have you considered inputting your proprietary database into AI and have it generate trend analysis and game predictions? Not at all, J-Lo. I have no desire to do that. None. I don't care about AI. I don't care about calculations, simulations. I'm not into any of it. I'm sitting here and I'm talking to you guys. I don't try to guess at things. I don't try to predict nothing. I call it like I see it. Question of the night. Will Dak Prescott throw more than 10 interceptions this year? Last year he had 15. John White, I believe he will throw more than 10 interceptions. Yes. Colorado is getting dog walked week 1. Also, who are you overranked and underranked in the AP poll? So, Joseph, I've talked about these. I have posts on these on TikTok about the 2 polls. I broke them down. If you think Colorado's getting, quote-unquote, dog walked, we have a different definition of dog walking. Colorado is going to score a ton of points, and they're not going to struggle. Like, they're not going to look like they struggle. That's just the reality of the situation. It's either going to be a shootout or a blowout, but it's not going to be Colorado being blown out. I want to make that very clear. TCU has a very anemic offense. They have a good running back, but everything else is brand new and terrible. Returning tight end, immense downgrades at quarterback, 3 wide receivers downgrading. And, yeah, I know everybody. I did the whole roster. I already did a whole breakdown on this. I don't know why we're talking about TCU like they're dominant. They're not. Okay. Theo is Rico's son. Excuse me, daughter. Okay. Shout out to you. What has LSU proven to do that? They can beat FSU. Not a thing. It will be a game, though. LSU lost to FSU by 1 point, man. It wasn't a blowout. And if you look at LSU returning Jaden Daniels, having him more comfortable in this offensive scheme that he started playing better in as the season went on, getting Logan Diggs in the running back room is a huge upgrade from Notre Dame. Okay, their defensive upgrades, Omar Speights coming in from Oregon State is a problem, bro. Harold Perkins is the best player in the SEC returning next year. We're talking about blue chip players. They got guys that can make plays on the field. It's not a game. So Elko is one of the best defensive minds in the game. People are sleeping on Duke. I'm not. I'm full blown awake on him, Trent. I love everything Elko does. I think he's the next Texas A&M head coach. What team do you think makes the biggest jump this year? Preferably group of 5. Sam Houston. Sam Houston was an FCS team, and I think they win 6 games this year. So give me Sam Houston in the Conference USA. Is Louisville a sleeper this year? Who's sleeping on them? I think they're great. I think they win 9 games. Did you see the renovations expected at Kansas? Thoughts on what it could do for the program long term? So renovations, facilities, that used to be a thing for all teams. What's going to make a difference is NIL money. Collective money is going to make a difference, not your facilities. The kids don't care. They want their money. That's how it goes. Izzy for the Jets, unfortunately, isn't going to get much touches now. The addition of Cooks, do you think that will stunt his development? No, Joey Rea, the complete opposite. I think it'll prolong his career if he doesn't get a lot of touches. I have never been worried about people getting carries or touches or anything of the sort. When I evaluate players, I tell you how good they are. I never try to guess who's going to be the rookie of the year or who's going to have 1,000 yards rushing. I never try to guess at who's going to lead in production, right? I never do that. because you have no control over what NFL teams are doing. You have no idea where they're getting drafted and what those teams will do once they get there. So Izzy, to me, is an amazing running back, but apparently the Jets want to go and spend money on other running backs, and they have every right to do that. So now we won't see Izzy play. Cool. It happens. That's the NFL for you in a nutshell. You'll find guys from college play amazing, do amazing things, get to the NFL, and never pan out because they went to the wrong franchise who didn't utilize them. And the Jets are notorious for this. And there's so many other teams that do this. It happens all the time. Nothing you can do about it. Barry Sanders or Deuce Vaughn? Give me Deuce Vaughn. I don't think he'll quit on his team. Of the rookie quarterbacks who are expected to start this year, who will succeed the most, assuming Richardson is last? I don't even know what you mean by succeed. Like team wins, individual performance. I don't know what you mean by succeed at all. Is drafting Gardner Minshew in fantasy in the later rounds a good idea since Richardson will get benched at some point? Not at all, Super Colt. You don't need to draft him. You just get him off the free agency. I knew you were going to say Will Levis. I don't even know what that's about. Do you know the quarterback situation at Virginia Tech? I know they shouldn't start drones. I know that. I haven't looked into it. Chill on my quarterback. He almost won us the game versus the Bears. Okay. Rico, thoughts on Carson Steele? Carson Steele, if you guys don't know, 1,500-yard rusher last season at Ball State. I love Carson Steele. He's a blonde-haired Viking, 6'1", 225, just transferred to UCLA. Going to be in Chip Kelly's system, replacing Zach Charbonnet, the Michigan reject. But what I'll tell you is Carson Steele is nice, bro. When you turn on the film, he moves the chains. He's athletic. He can play football. I really like him. I don't know how that translates to the NFL. I don't know how that translates to anything, but he is only a sophomore, so he's got 2 years at UCLA. I'd expect him to have a good year this year. Production's going to obviously be lower than 1,500, but UCLA has like 3 or 4 really good running backs. And UCLA's running backs coach is Deshaun Foster. Deshaun Foster rushed for like 3,700 yards his senior year in high school at Tustin. Played against Carson Palmer in the CIF championship. Deshaun Foster is an amazing running back at UCLA as well. I love everything about Deshaun Foster. I hope he's teaching this man how to play football. I hope Carson still plays great at UCLA. But there's some studs going to UCLA. I believe the starting running back at St. John Bosco right now is also going to UCLA after this year. So they're just loaded at running back. Yes, sir. Rico can play. Thank you, Daniel De La Garza. He knows me in real life, and that man just said he can play. I didn't pay him. He said it. I'm also 40. I don't know what I can do today, but once upon a time, I was nice. I don't know if you know about the UConn quarterback battle, but if you do, who's winning? Colin Bolin, you hit it on the head initially. I don't know anything about a battle up at UConn for the quarterback battle. I'll have to look into it and get back to you the next time I see you, brother. Sorry. Does Alabama quarterback situation make you worry versus Texas week 2? Yeah, I didn't think Alabama should have won the game last year, right? They took a miracle for them to win that game, and they had a Heisman Trophy quarterback. So what are we doing? Like, they don't have a Heisman Trophy quarterback this year. How many games did Bryce Young win them? How many games did he win them last year? 3 games when they were in one possession or less? We're talking, I think he was essential in the Ole Miss win, definitely Texas, and maybe A&M. They're going to lose those games. So that's how that goes. Is Fagano playing great at UConn? Is that what's happening? The main transfer? Fagano showed up and started playing great at UConn? You got to let me know, Colin. Was it Fagano? If it wasn't Fagano, let me know, because I want to know who it is. If it's Roberson, then I expected that. But Fagano's going to surprise me. But yeah, for me, hearing about, Alabama struggling this season is not going to surprise me at all. You don't have your Heisman Trophy quarterback anymore. That's what happens. It comes in waves. Texas is going to win that game. What up, Rico? Love your content on TikTok and came to YouTube. You think Caleb Williams is going to be the best quarterback this year? I believe he has the potential to be the best quarterback in the country this year. I believe he is the best quarterback talent-wise. But you still got to play the games, and you got to go out there and perform. So, yes, if he can get back to running the football and not be injured the way he was in his bowl game, remember, 100-yard rusher most games when he wants to be, 0 yards rushing in that bowl game. He was injured. Thank you for, by the way, Kev, Thank you for following me on TikTok and YouTube. I really need it. Guys, I really need the following on YouTube. That's essential to my livelihood. So we're pushing pretty hard. That's why we do the live streams on YouTube. But, TikTok's rolling along just fine. We're going to get to 100K before the season starts, hopefully. Hopefully. We got about a week to get there. I'll be on vacation. I might not get as many per day. We'll be right on the verge. We'll be right on the brink, but we'll go over it by the first weekend, I hope. TCU will lose week 1. I believe so. I believe TCU loses week 1. And that maybe they win, but I believe they lose. Favorite position, not talking football. Okay, Lane Droz. Give me the prone row. Lots of college football Twitter thinks Colorado only wins 5 to 6 games. Thoughts on that? I'm leaning towards 6, but if they win 6, that means they're going to a bowl game, so then you got to go to 7. So it's either 5 or 7 wins. You can't say 5 or 6. If you say 6, you got to assume they're going to go to a bowl game and win that. So give me 5 to 7 wins, somewhere around there. That's where I'm at as well. So that doesn't surprise me. West Virginia, any chance at Penn State? No. West Virginia looks terrible. Who's their quarterback? Garrett Green, that kid. They don't look good. They don't look good. I don't mean to be rude, but Neil Brown probably needs to go at this point. Rico, would you be doing a Rico's poll every week like the AP poll? I am, Sergio. It's on my playlist on TikTok. I have a playlist called Who Is, quote unquote, Who Is. Anytime you guys have a question like who's the best running back, who's the top this, who's that, that's my Who Is playlist. And it's on TikTok above the videos. When you go to my homepage, above the videos, you click on it, scroll, and you'll get there. So that's how that goes. Is this the best chance to see Penn State in the college football playoffs for the first time? Not at all, Andrew Florick. The best chance to see them in the playoffs is next season. When you look at next season, you're looking at a team that will have a starting quarterback in Drew Aller for 2 years now. Running backs will be juniors. Like, everybody will be better in 2 years. So I believe their peak is in 2 years, and the playoffs will expand by then. So they'll definitely be in the playoffs, theoretically, at that point. So we'll see them in 2 years, not this year, I don't think. How does Tez Walker being ineligible affect Drake May draft stock and or Heisman? So it doesn't affect his draft stock at all, Seth. Draft stock is predetermined before the season even starts. Like, NFL draft scouts don't even care how you play. You want proof? Will Levis and Richardson played like absolute dog shit their last season of college football, and the experts didn't care, right? They don't care how these kids play at all. So it doesn't impact draft stock at all. But as far as Heisman goes, I can't possibly see how Drake May wins the Heisman without Tez Walker. Unfortunately for him, Devontae Walker was found ineligible, can't play this season. And that's unfortunate because he was going to be his deep threat. He was replacing Antoine Green at the X position of wide receiver. He still has a replacement in Nate McCollum at the slot, taking over for Josh Downs, but I don't think it's enough. Remember, Drake May led North Carolina in rushing and passing. They also have a new offensive coordinator. Phil Longo just left for Wisconsin. Losing your offensive coordinator, losing your star wide receivers, losing your entire secondary, losing your secondary coach in Dre Bly. Like, they lost a lot. North Carolina's looks like they're going to have a rough year. Now, they can surprise everybody and outperform and outshine and do what they do, but come on now. Do you think Buford gets the W this Friday versus St. Francis? So, if you guys didn't know, Buford, number 1 team in Georgia, arguably one of the top 10 teams in the country. They're playing this Friday against St. Francis, which is a powerhouse, perennial power from the DMV, from the D.C. area. I think Buford wins that game. I'm telling you guys, for the last 3 years, whenever I see Buford, I think they're one of the top 5 teams in the country. They're very talented. They have a ton of studs. I'm pulling for them. I'm not a homer, but I'm pulling for Buford to win that game. We'll see what happens. I'll be in New York. I'll miss the game, but I will definitely, obviously, be keeping tabs on scores. Let me go back. Sorry, it jumped on me. Sorry, Rico, let me clear my throat. What up? Let's hear it. Richardson at Indy, trust the process or bust. I don't make those predictions like that. I don't call people bust, and I don't care about any of that. How do you think JMU is looking this year? Loaded. Mr. Dunlow, you'd be so surprised. They did really well in the transfer portal. I think JMU looks good, man. I'm excited for them. They got some good players. We'll see what happens if they can put it together. Sunbelt is absolutely stacked. Good luck. Absolutely. There's like 10 1,000-yard rushers in the Sunbelt. It's bananas. Rico, is PSAC a top 3 defensive 2 conference? PSAC. Is that Pacific? What's PSAC? Division 2. Division 2 conferences, the only one I know is GLAC. GLAC, the only one I know off the top of my head. If there's another one I'm missing, let me know. Where does West Florida play? I like that conference. Rico, how will Alabama do this season? I think they lose 3 games at least. DJ Uiagalelei going to thrive this year? No, not necessarily. I think the team will, but I don't know if he will. Thoughts on the Longhorns this year? I like them. Hope they win the Big 12. Good luck. All right, thanks, Rico. No problem. How about them Texas Aggies? Texas A&M Aggies? Texas Aggies. Sounds really weird. Rico, how do you feel about the Utes? I don't feel about the Utes. I think they're going to win games and they're fine, but I don't feel any type of way about them. Rico, what do you think about Baylor's biggest weakness? What do you think Baylor's biggest weaknesses are? I'm a Baylor alum and want to hear your opinions on them. Sergio Mendoza. Baylor has a great running back room. Inversely, they have a ton of average quarterbacks on the roster, and it sucks for them. Shapen better come through. RJ Martinez just showed up. Who's the kid from Mississippi State that just showed up? Not Braden Locke. Sawyer Robertson. So I'm sitting here trying to quote Baylor's entire depth chart to you to let you know how average they are at the quarterback position. But in reality, Baylor's going to have to overachieve to do well this year. Run the rock a lot, not make mistakes, and overachieve. And Aranda's the guy to do it, man. I hope they do well. I don't see it. I see them 4th or 5th in the Big 12, but more power to them. Rico, Bryce Young didn't play during the A&M game. Okay, my bad. Who has a better season, Texas or A&M? I think Texas. 9-4 could be worse. I'm right around there, Lewis Hinton. I'm right around there. Well, 9-4 means they lose their bowl game because there's only 12 games. Rico, thoughts on lacrosse pushing into conferences like the SEC? I didn't grow up on lacrosse. I played football, wrestling, and track. We didn't even have lacrosse where I grew up in Southern California. We also don't have pole vault. I always thought lacrosse was fake football. Never liked it. Still not into it. I can respect it on a collegiate level, but when I watch it in high school, I just go, "Oh, these are the kids who don't play football. I'm out of here." That's how I feel. Girls lacrosse, I respect. They're pretty good studs. Fagano is the transfer from Maine, but Robertson will probably get it. There you go. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. How does Zeke and Dalvin Cook help or hurt Jonathan Taylor? I don't think they impact him at all. I think agents will go in there and use comps, but you got to ask yourself, what comps did Dalvin Cook and Zeke's agents use? Because their contracts are unlike anybody else's. Their contracts are insane. They didn't deserve those contracts at all. So what are we doing? Who is Zeke and Dalvin Cook being utilized with? You know what I'm saying? Is Deuce Vaughn considered, I can't say that word, but he is extremely vertically challenged. That's it. No, to be that word, you have to be disproportionately shaped. How are we feeling about UCF this year? I don't really worry about UCF. They're in the Big 12. They got a loaded schedule. Hopefully they do well, but I like them. I like John Rice Plumlee, but I can't really vouch for them on any other level. Will Oregon have a better or worse chance at staying relevant in the Big 10? Better for sure, because they'll have a nice recruiting budget, a nice revenue in TV. So they have a better chance to stay relevant. They're relevant in the Pac-12 every year. They're not struggling. They're not a hurting program by any means. How good are South Alabama's chances to win the Sun Belt this year? Pretty good. Jacoby, all they got to do is beat Troy. Troy and Troy, to me, are the cream of the crop in the Sun Belt. Do you have Texas in the playoffs? I don't have any teams in the playoffs. Any teams in the playoffs, not happening, because you got to win your conference, and then they're going to look at all the conference champions and pick them from there. So you can only predict a certain team's going to win a conference. There's no reason to try to guess who's making it to the playoffs. It's irrelevant. Just pick your conference champs and leave it at that. Could Buford compete with Duncanville? I think they would beat Duncanville 40-0. Joseph Villilon. Duncanville would lose 40-0 to Buford. I watched Duncanville play Mater Dei and lose 40-3. And Duncanville went on to play North Shore for the state title later that year. Let me tell you what you guys don't understand. Your public schools aren't good. You think they're good until they have to play a real school. Until they have to play St. John Bosco, Buford, Mater Dei. It's not a game out here. They're just not that. They're not built like that. 40-0. I think it was at halftime, 40-0. And then Duncanville scored a field goal just to feel good about it. It was embarrassing. Keep playing the teams you play in Texas. I see all the teams across the country, and I look at those teams and just go, oh, no, they're not like this. They're not cut from the same cloth at all. Top college receivers this year. Gimp Show. I did a whole video on the top 10 in the group of 5. Top 10 in the Power 5. We know who they are. They're all talked about. There's no reason for me to sit here and name them. We know who they are. Thoughts on A.T. Perry? He played well in the preseason. I wasn't sold on him. I'm still not convinced he's going to be a great pro, but his first game he played really well, and they got him the ball. Shout out to Jameis Winston. Texas A&M record prediction. I haven't looked at the schedule to do a record prediction. I'm assuming they win more than – I'm assuming they win at least 7 games this year. Underrated defensive lineman. I don't know where. Opinions on the NBA. I don't watch it. Do you see the Colts named Richardson the starting quarterback? I already talked about it tonight. Rewind the show. What is your outlook on Nebraska this season? Really like what Rule's been doing, and I think in a few years they'll be back to prominence. Ryan Bell, I love what Nebraska's doing. I think they win at least 7 games this year. I like everything Rule does. I think he's a great coach. Caleb May, Drake May, Jordan Travis. What about him? Great quarterbacks? Got it. Oregon looked pretty damn relevant to 105,000 Buckeye fans in the shoe a few seasons ago. Fair enough. Touche. How you feel about Nico Collins from Michigan? Breakout year for the Texans. Okay. How did ESPN get fooled by Bishop Sycamore? Well, Seth, everybody talks about Bishop Sycamore got on ESPN and they tricked ESPN, but that's not how it happens. High school games are not scheduled by ESPN. High school games, the premier matchups you see, are actually done by a third party called Pinnacle. And Pinnacle is the one who does the matchups between the teams. They're the company that got fooled. They're the ones who pitted IMG and Bishop Sycamore against each other, and they told ESPN, well, here's these 2 powerhouse teams, blah, blah, blah. But that company, Pinnacle, did not do the background checks on the teams. They didn't look into Bishop Sycamore. They just assumed they were good. They didn't know Bishop Sycamore, because remember, that game was on a Sunday. They didn't know that Bishop Sycamore played a game that Friday against a team called Rocks in Pennsylvania, and they lost that game on Friday. And then they gave them a second game, which is completely illegal. But that's the company that got fooled, not ESPN, just so we know. If Texas had a private school football team, it would be number 1 team in the nation every year. No, Joseph, it would not. I don't understand why you guys don't get this. They just wouldn't. Like there are 2 private schools next to each other, and there are public schools far better than Duncanville. There are public schools. Corona Centennial is in the top 10 most years. Corona Centennial is a public school. Okay, there are public schools that are great. You guys got to just understand. I wish you guys would do some research on it instead of being homers and going, yeah, public schools in Texas can't recruit, so they're at a disadvantage when playing elite teams out of state. No, they recruit. Everybody recruits. Buford can't recruit. There are teams here in Georgia that can't recruit. But all you got to do is pay to get in and lie and do all this. Every team's recruiting. Don't do it, guys. Every team's recruiting. Players are lying, saying they live in this boundary and this school limit. They live with their aunt. They're doing this. Oh, they're here. Every school's recruiting. That's what I don't want to hear. They're high school age kids. It's just the way it is. It's unfortunate. There's nothing to do about it. It's not up for debate. Best teams are who they are. They got all the best players. Go look up the backup running back at Mater Dei. The backup running back at Mater Dei is Nate Frazier, and he'll be at Georgia next year. Go look up his tape. I did a video on him. Go look him up. He's a backup. He could start at any school in the country except for Mater Dei. Thoughts on the Giants? How do you feel about Texas State's new coach and all the new transfers? Mario Solano, G.J. Kinney, and his entire transfer portal class. I have talked about them at length. I want you to go to TikTok, search hashtag, do a hashtag Texas State, and then do a space and do a hashtag Rico Knows. Put them both together, and boom. Put them both together, and boom, there you go. And you'll see your results. Thoughts on New York Giants this season? How do you feel about thoughts on New York Giants this season? None at all. Third best team in the in their division. They're behind the Eagles and Cowboys. Who has a better roster, Texas or Texas A&M? Texas. Texas is loaded. I think you meant to say, what do you think about Coastal Carolina quarterback Grayson McCall? I think he's been great on a team with a good coach, and he's going into his final year. He's been a 3-time Sun Belt Player of the Year. He's a really good quarterback. Does great things with the ball in his hand. Unfortunately for him, he lost his head coach, lost a lot of parts of the team, lost his starting center, Willie Lampkin, transferred to North Carolina. Best defender transferred to Michigan, and Josiah Stewart. So the cupboard's pretty bare, but he's still there. Let him do his thing. He wanted to leave because he knew his team wasn't going to be great, but he's sticking it out, going to play this year, and hopefully he puts up some numbers. Do you watch any NAIA games? No, I do not. Bowden, McClare. I only watch FBS games for the most part. Come on, Double D, break yourself. What up, man? Who's the fastest kid in Georgia? CJ Reed, fastest kid in Georgia. I don't know. I don't want to guess. We have open enrollment in the Dallas area for public schools. That's how we recruit in Texas. That's how everybody recruits. It's fine. He's not a backup. He's a starter. All right, Joseph, go watch the game and watch him come off the bench. What's your opinion on Dabo's coaching at Clemson and his treatment of the portal? So, Michael, first and foremost, Dabo is an amazing coach. He's won the ACC, I want to say 9 out of the last 10 years. Dabo is second to none, so I don't want to hear anything negative about Dabo. He's legitimately a top 5 coach among 133 coaches. He's in the top 5. His treatment of the portal. He utilizes the transfer portal like everyone else. You just don't realize it. What Dabo does is dumps his his recruiting misses into the portal. So he still signs full recruiting classes, and if you don't make the 2 deep and you aren't any good, he encourages you to go to the portal and leave. He cuts his dead weight in the portal just like anybody. They sent 13 guys to the portal like any other team, right? They still use the portal. They don't sign transfers, but they sure as hell get rid of their transfers and get rid of their players to make them transfers. So I'm cool with it. Dabo's doing what he does. Yeah, let's go. If Denver Harris even remotely messes up again, he's kicked off the team. LSU, I honestly don't see him in a high-level school for some time. Thoughts? Yeah, I don't think he's a very good player. I don't think he's the guy you want in your program. I don't think he makes anybody better. So I'd get rid of him. My money's on USC this year. All right, Bobo, don't bet any money, but I hear you. Sage still leaving ESPN. Gimp Show. I know who she is. I don't watch ESPN. I don't watch any other. I only watch ESPN when it's a live sporting event. I don't give a shit about their analysis, number one. Number two, the emphasis to put one black female, one black male, and one white male all in the same booth every single show is gross to me. The desired intent to project diversity is gross to me. Just put the most accomplished and most qualified people out there. I'm tired of seeing who's the new girl at the NBA countdown. Who's the girl who does the interviews for NBA? Who's the girl at the NBA draft who didn't belong there? Who is that chick? Why does Hannah Storm not have a job anymore? I go on forever, bro. These guys make me mad, bro. It's gross. Zion Reagan's, Malika Andrews. Oh, there it is. Zion Reagan's got to be up there in the fastest kids in Georgia. Okay. When do you think Oklahoma will return back to their old form? They've always been their old form. Philip, they had one bad year. They were in the playoffs the year before. They've had Heisman Trophy winners back-to-back years. Like, what are we doing? Oklahoma had one bad year. There's nothing going wrong. Your least favorite coach. Ugh. I don't like that Mulkey girl at LSU. I don't like the women's basketball coach at LSU. I also don't like Dawn Staley at South Carolina. Those two are very unlikable for me. Dawn Staley and Mulkey. But if we're talking about football, my least favorite FBS coach, probably Jimbo Fisher, Butch Davis. I'm sorry, Butch Jones. Not Butch Davis. Butch Jones, Jimbo Fisher. Those got to be top 2 right now. top 2. That's where I'm at. Also to note, Denver Harris wasn't the only person that wasn't in the team photo. Person that went to my high school that is a backup DB for LSU and wasn't in the pick. I know he doesn't have issues, so yeah, maybe he was sick. Maybe he missed it. Frank Harris or Michael Penix Jr.? I like Frank Harris a lot, man. I'll go Frank Harris all day there. Love your take on ESPN, bro. Thank you very much, Kim Show. I just don't like it. You guys are laughing. Chances Louisville wins the ACC. Ugh. That's going to take a lot. It's not even the fact that Louisville is going to play great. It's the fact that they don't play every team in the ACC. Right? Louisville doesn't play. Do they play Clemson and Florida State this year? I don't think they do. So, chance of them winning, they would need other teams to fall flat on their face and not win. It's not just them winning. They need other teams to lose. Does Fitzgerald coach again in college? Who's Fitzgerald? Oh, Pat Fitzgerald. I'm sure he'll get some type of job. Come on, man. Sark's got a job, and Sark was fired for being a drunk. Sark was fired for being an alcoholic. He's got a job. What's his name's got a job right now? Beard? Beard bit his wife. Beard domestically assaulted his wife and bit her in the police report. He's got a job right now at Ole Miss. Yeah. Fitzgerald will get a job again. Are you watching women's college basketball this season, and who you got? Gim Show, I am not watching women's college basketball, and I got none of them. I got the men's tournament. Does Washington have a chance to run the table if they get past the Pac? Personally, I'm not sure they can get past Oregon or USC. Okay, so does Washington have a chance to run the table if they get past the Pac? I don't know what you mean by that, Ryan Bell, because if they run the table, that means they have to win the whole Pac. I don't get it. Do they have a chance to run the table if they get past the Pac? Washington's got a chance to go undefeated. They were the highest ranked team in the Pac-12 last year. Final poll, Washington was number 8 in the polls. They weren't in the conference championship game, but they were a top 10 team in the final poll. They were the highest ranked team in the Pac-12. They're loaded. Am I stupid to be really, really high on Raiola as a Georgia fan? I think he's the real deal. You're not stupid. You're just childish. He's not the real deal. No quarterback in high school is the real deal. You're just childish. There's going to be a ton of 5-star quarterbacks that don't ever play for their college and don't pan out. It happens all over the place. You're just childish. I'd imagine you're young. Thoughts on the Seahawks? None, Cody. I don't think about the Seahawks at all. I agree. I watched both a bunch, and I think Frank Harris had a real chance to be a real starter. Penix underwhelmed me from how much he's hyped. Yeah, he's not underwhelming. He's just not Frank Harris. Yo, Rico, what's the best piece of advice you could give to a high school safety? Fadeaway J. The best piece of advice I could give to a safety is read the guards. Learn how to read pass protection versus run protection, like run blocking versus pass blocking. So no down and distance. I used to study film, and when I would study film, I would ask my coach, can I watch more film? And I would watch the film, and I would make my own notes. I would sit in there, and my notes would be, how many times did they run the ball on 3rd and short? Or did they pass? Like, I would know when the passing downs were. If it was over, what were their tendencies is what I would learn about a team. I would say, okay, when are they going to pass the ball? What down and distance is it that coach calls a pass play? What's the formation? Where's the hash? Are they doing it to the wide side or the short side? What's their tendencies? How often do they target this receiver? So there would be times I would be at corner and this receiver would come out and I'd be like, oh, he's not even going to get it. They don't throw to this guy. There is no route tree for this guy. I can ignore him and I can go do what I want to do. Stuff like that. So you got to learn tendencies, learn how to read tape. You got to ask. You got to be vocal. I can't stand this. You guys, I know if you're in high school or whatever, you got to be vocal with your coaches. You got to just go over there and talk to them and say, hey, coach, I would like to watch more film. I would like to watch it. And look at you like, what? We're done watching film. No. I want to watch it. Go in there and take your notes. Look at the down and distance. Study. Learn how people down block. Learn what tight end tendencies are. I used to read tight ends all day. If a tight end down blocks, that means the back's coming, right? That means a kick out's coming. A guard's pulling to kick out the defensive end. I need to fill that gap as a free safety. I'm telling you guys, I don't do 3-step back pedal drops. I would fill the hole and go all day long. Pause. Just a lot of stuff going on. Just so you guys understand. You can do this. You can do this. Was Demario Douglas the biggest sleeper in the draft? Do the Patriots watch Rico Knows? So, Seth, the Patriots and the Packers watch all my stuff because they drafted exactly like I told them to. They drafted every single one of my hidden gems. Both of those franchises watch Rico Knows content. Shout out to them. Their scouting department does for sure. They can front like they don't, but we know they do. Demario Douglas was not the biggest sleeper in the draft. There were great 7th-round draft picks. There were great undrafted players. I say the biggest sleeper in the draft is a player that nobody drafted, which is Sterling Thomas V. So, but I'm cool with it. Would you ever make just an appearance on a show for ESPN or a similar show just for exposure to your channel? So, Sergio, I did a podcast today with a buddy of mine, with a guy I follow, and he follows me. He doesn't have nearly as many followers as I do, but I respect people who are content creators, and I'm rocking with a certain circle of content creators that are kind of in my circle. We talk to each other every day. We're doing our own thing, kind of like all the guys at Barstool that circled up together and made a collective of creators under one brand, just like Pat McAfee and all his boys and everybody on there. So I have a group of guys that I respect. The only difference with me is I am a conversation hijacker. I'm not built to just talk on a show and hang out. Yeah, I was on a show at Big B today, Big B Sports, and I did an interview with him. And I'll tell you, he's just a cool dude to hang out with. And I respected it and I appreciated it. But more importantly, like I've done interviews on other podcasts. I don't worry about exposure to my channel or getting my name out there or people getting out there. I mean, I've been on World Star, man. I've been on World Star. Joe Budden's used some of my videos. Like, I don't care. People are going to find out about me eventually, right? In the world of Twitter, they don't even know who I am on Twitter. YouTube, 4,000 followers, subscribers. They don't know who I am. They're going to know. I'm not even worried about it. This is a journey. I'm making a living. I'm happy. I don't need to sell out for anything. It's real. I don't need to sell out for nothing. But I appreciate it. Yeah, one day they'll call me. One day. We'll see. What is your favorite college team? CJ Reed, I don't have a favorite team. I cover 133 teams. I support the players and coaches, and they all move. So I don't cheer for a particular color or a jersey or anything like that. I don't like it. I don't get it. What's your favorite college team, right? Let's say your favorite college team is Texas A&M. And then one of your players transfers away. You no longer cheer for that player because he doesn't play for you anymore. That doesn't make sense to me. You're advocating for this player. You thought he was great for many, many years, and then he transfers. Let me tell you, Sam Hartman just transferred to Notre Dame. If you're a Wake Forest fan, do you no longer cheer for Sam Hartman? Get what I'm saying? Like, that doesn't make sense. So that's why I don't cheer for teams. I don't cheer for colors. I don't like jerseys. My bad. Men, if they could run the table in the pack, do you think they could win the Natty? Yeah. Just wonder if they can get past the likes of USC and Oregon first. They can. They all play each other. Have you posted your preseason top 5 college quarterbacks yet? I did preseason top 10 group of 5 quarterbacks. I'm not worried about the whole Power 5 quarterback. We all know who the top 5 are. Like, we're naming the same guys every single time. It doesn't make sense. That's not a talking point for me. If you guys want to talk about the Power 5, top 5, this, that, or that, turn on ESPN. That's all they talk about. Turn on ESPN. That's all they talk about. Do it. It's boring as hell. And while you're at it, start talking about whether or not Jordan's better than LeBron. You see what I'm saying? Thanks, man. You're a college coach looking for a quarterback and have Jaden Rashada and Kyle McCord. Which do you take? Neither one. Parker Raycraft, I believe they're both looking for a payday. I'm not down with that. That player you were asked about, Colorado offering, is a grad student from UAB. Okay, I'll look into it. Thoughts on Sports Illustrated Peter King saying Zay Flowers was the most impressive rookie he has seen during his training camp tour. Surprised or expected? So, Vince, I'm not very high on Zay Flowers, so I am very surprised. I watched him at Boston College, did my analysis on his tape. It didn't look sharp. It didn't look great. At the same time, people get paid to say things to hype shit up. It's just the way it is. Pre-draft, they say this. You know, the Ravens have never drafted a Pro Bowl wide receiver. In their entire existence. Since 1996, the Ravens have never drafted a Pro Bowl wide receiver. But in the preseason, they'll tell you they got one. That's how this works. Now, is Zay Flowers any good? I'm sure he is. I'm sure he is. I'm sure he's got fast twitch, and he looks great in film, and most impressive rookie I saw across the way, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, because most rookie wide receivers are not the number one wide receiver. You feel me? So it's just different, man. More power to him. I hope he plays great. But I think they just want to project that, Lamar Jackson has receivers. That's all that is. You think Georgia has the best athletes in the country? No, not necessarily. No. How is A.D. Mitchell not a top 50 transfer player? Commodity, never repeat your questions. I will get to your questions when I get to it. We are always behind in chat. Never repeat your questions, Commodity. How is A.D. Mitchell not a top 50 transfer portal player? Well, first and foremost, top 50 transfer portal players, if I was to pull up the chart in front of you guys, now that I've revealed the whole thing, how did I know this question was going to come up? I have my chart ready at all times. When you look at it, and I'll control scroll so you guys can read it. When you look at the wide receivers, I want to explain something to you guys. If we start from the top, number one wide receiver, Dorian Singer, 1,100 yards, second team Pac-12, all Pac-12, going to a Heisman Trophy quarterback, Dorian Singer, number one wide receiver in the transfer portal. Next guy, Jamari Thrash, 1,100 yards receiving, going to a pass-friendly team like Louisville under Jeff Brom. Jeff Brom just got Charlie Jones to have over 100 receptions. Could you imagine what is he going to do with Jamari Thrash? Charlie Jones from 300 yards receiving to third in the nation? Yeah, he's going to do wonders here. Devontae Walker was supposed to be paired up. It didn't work out, right? So he's not going to be able to play this year, but he was my number 12. Another receiver coming up, Zachary Franklin. Back-to-back 80 reception seasons, 90-something last year. Over 1,000 yards 2 years in a row. Going to Ole Miss. He's an amazing wide receiver. It's not even funny. Dominic Lovett. Going to Georgia. Going to be one of the star receivers. 800 yards receiving in the SEC. What you need to understand about all these receivers that I have listed here is they're going to ideal situations where they're going to be utilized. Even the very last receiver I have, Jair Shorter, coming out of North Texas, and he's great. What you don't see here is any receiver, with the exception of C.J. Williams, who's going to Wisconsin to be the star wide receiver. What you don't see is any receiver with 28 receptions. 28 receptions. That's less than, and they played 15 games last year. That's less than 2 receptions a game. A.D. Mitchell couldn't be less relevant as a wide receiver on any team. He transferred, and they sold you some story about his kids and babies and all this shit. No, none of that is true. You get enough NIL and collective, and if you're good enough, there's families moving across this country right now with less than $5,000 to their name. There are families, husband and wife and children, moving across the country as we speak in a U-Haul with everything they own, less than $5,000 to their name. And A.D. Mitchell couldn't move a kid and a baby mama closer? That's not what it was. It was get the hell out of Georgia because they're not throwing me the rock enough. Okay? Now, you're going to Texas. They already have other receivers there. Xavier Weaver. They have a tough schedule. So what I'm saying is he doesn't really impact the win total at Texas. A.D. Mitchell is a good player, talented, but when I do top 50 transfer portal players, I am assessing impact. I am not putting them in order by their star rating. I don't give a shit about stars or how talented they are. None of that matters. How much impact do they have at their school? How much of an impact are they going to have at the school? How much are they going to impact and change the win total? That's what the top 50 was. It was not, let's copy the recruiting sites. And hey, did you not hear this? Hey, the recruiting site said we had the top recruits. No, you don't. A.D. Mitchell's not a top 50 transfer portal player. He doesn't improve anything. He's just another guy at Texas that's going to run some routes and do some things. They have a really good receiving core. Congratulations. You're one of the good receivers now. But he didn't do anything at Georgia worth talking about. It's just like the Georgia fans telling me that all the running backs at Georgia are NFL caliber. It's like, where do you get off saying that? Where? The starter was a 7th-round draft pick. None of these other guys are NFL caliber. So who's the NFL caliber wide receiver at Georgia? What are we talking about? You got a guy with 28 receptions, less than 2 a game. That's not it. You can't compare that to 1,000-yard receivers. Let me know when A.D. Mitchell gets a 1,000-yard receiver. That's all I'm saying. Let me know when he gets 1,000 yards receiving. Georgia's the best athletes historically. I already said no. How many games do you see Ole Miss winning this season? Up to 9. Rico, I watched your TikTok about Tackett Curtis and went and watched this film myself. His huddle film is 7 minutes of him just laying people out. It's impressive. Yeah, so he plays at a lower level. He played at Manning High School. He plays at a lower level in Louisiana. The tape is a lot of him just crushing people. I think he played at safety and just took a running head start at everybody. But he does hit hard. He is strong, and he looks like a linebacker. My video that I showed you guys, I usually cut it out. You know, huddle films can be as long as they want to be. I'm only going to show you guys 1 or 2 minutes max. So that's how that works. How is A.D. Mitchell? There we go. Do you think Drew Pine is the real deal at ASU? Last year at Notre Dame, I felt he was a group of 5 written all over him. No, he's fine. Ryan Bell, he has a good coach as well, right? Dillingham knows what to do with quarterbacks. So trust. Have trust in the system. Who's got the most juice you've watched on tape coming out of high school this year? Nate Frazier definitely is up there. Steven, I want to say the kid Bell from Texas on my high school film review. He's up there. I like Bell. I like Nate Frazier. Most juice. Those two come to mind immediately. I might be missing some, but those two come to mind immediately. You know what? And I see a new person every 2 weeks. What team or teams do you think benefit the most now that the IRS is cracking down on player money in college programs? I forgot the proper name, but I know you know what I'm talking about. So, Steve, Steve's talking about collectives, but the thing is the IRS is not cracking down on the amount of money players get. Not at all. The IRS is cracking down on the donors trying to get a tax break from it, right? We all need to collect some money for the players. That's still happening, and teams are still getting a ton of money for the players. But the donors is the problem because they're all trying to get a tax write-off from it. They're like, well, we're going to donate to this kid, but we want to be able to write it off as a tax credit because they don't want to get taxed on that amount of money. Not cool. IRS said, nah, you're not doing that. Does your brother enjoy sports like you? Daniel Lee, my brother enjoys sports immensely, but not like me. Obviously, I do this for a profession, so I'm very well versed and immersed in it. But he understands sports just as much as I or anyone else. He just talks about it in a very casual way. He's a fanatic, and he's a fan of his teams. So he's a Dallas Cowboys fan, a USC Trojans fan. I think he's a Lakers fan. I don't know his baseball team, but that dude, you can't talk about anything wrong with his teams. He's that guy. So, but more power to him. Has there ever been a player that you completed, missed on, that he'd be a guy but didn't pan out? Yeah, D. Jones. It happens often. Sky Moore would be one. Just happened recently. I think Sky Moore was one. There's just many. You know, I make assessments. There was like 259 draft picks. And I had to make videos and assessments on 259 draft picks. And when we go back and assess it in 2 or 3 years, how many am I going to have missed on? Probably 50. But I'm going to hit on 200. My batting average is great. And that's what makes me unique from everybody else is I keep track. We keep receipts. But when I'm not missing, like, for example, I made a 20-minute long video on undrafted free agents right after the draft. Right after the draft, knee-jerk reaction, I said, here's my video. Here's all the guys they missed on who didn't get drafted. It's on YouTube right now. It's 20 minutes long. I'm going to go back to it in a couple of weeks when they make all these final cuts, and we're going to find out of any of those undrafted free agents I mentioned, if they made teams. And if they made teams, then what are we doing? Are we going to start listening, or are we going to keep saying Rico doesn't know? Because apparently I do know, because I'm identifying individuals who are going to make teams and rosters. And I'm not wrong. Right? You guys got to get it straight. Would Tez have had the most impact? Wouldn't Tez have had the most impact? No, Seth. Tez would not have had the most impact. I had Tez at 12. That's where he's at. Do a recruiting story on Taz Nicholson, defensive back at Illinois, not highly touted, not highly recruited, out of high school, then went to prep school, and now is 2024 draft projections. One of the most instinctual athletes I played with. All right, Smoke Davis, here's what I'm going to tell you. I don't give a flying flip about draft projections. I will watch them play. I will watch him play, and I make assessments on the gameplay. I do not care where people project things. I hate it. I don't care about the 2024 draft until after the season. Now, I've watched a lot of Illinois tape, and he didn't stick out to me. Nicholson did not stick out to me. There's 2 other draft picks in the secondary. They brought in 2 other transfers from the transfer portal, one from FIU, and I forget where the other kid's from, but I've never had Nicholson stand out on tape for me. So there you go. Advice for freshman year quarterbacks. Yeah, watch your back. Keep your head on a swivel. Throw the ball. Off the top of your head, did you ever see a player coming into college that was worth the hype that the media was giving them? Sergio Mendoza. So, yeah, Reggie Bush was worth the hype. Cedric Benson was worth the hype. Any great high school player was worth the hype that they were talking about. Yeah, a lot of guys lived up to the hype. I mean, it happens all the time. Trevor Lawrence was worth the hype. Deshaun Watson was worth the hype. There's a ton of guys. Thoughts on Chauncey Bowens? Personally, my favorite UGA back in this upcoming class seems like a Le'Veon Bell back. Yeah, okay. I don't see it, but okay. Your brother's a Yankees fan, Cowboys, Lakers fan. That's a gimme. I don't think he's a Yankees fan. He's from Southern California. Taz is in my city, Duval County. Okay, word. What is the story with Eric Gilbert, now with Nebraska? Gatorade player 0. Okay. So Eric Gilbert, 5-star player coming out of high school, won the state title at Marietta. Great player. That team had a ton of studs. Vidal was the starting running back. He's currently the leading rusher at Troy right now. Starting quarterback was Harrison. He went to Tennessee. Harrison Bailey. He went to Tennessee, transferred to UNLV, now just walked on to Louisville. Starting wide receiver was Ricky White, and he went to Michigan State, transferred to UNLV. He's one of the leading receivers right now. The team was loaded, and Eric Gilbert was the star on that whole team. Went to LSU as a true freshman, started and played, got homesick, wanted to leave, come back home. Supposedly was going to go to Florida, changed his mind, didn't go there, went to Georgia. Been on the bench for 2 years because Georgia has amazing tight ends. Then he got passed on the depth chart by Oscar Delp, and so now he had to leave, and he went to Nebraska. Now I don't think he's going to get his waiver approved. So transferring to Nebraska, he might have to sit out the year. It's going to really be a detriment to his mental health. He's been struggling with some shit, but I believe Eric Gilbert's a great player. One of the best high school players I've ever seen with my own 2 eyes. If there was a guy worth the hype coming out of high school, just like the above question, it was Eric Gilbert. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. So that's that. That's as much as I know about Eric Gilbert. I hope I explained it and told you everything I could off the top of my head. So I kind of know these players, guys. He and Jaheim Rocket Sanders went to the same high school. Yep, I'm aware. What do you think Louisville's record will be? I think they're amazing. I think the wide receiver room is top 10 nationally. Yeah, wide receiver room's top 5. They're great. Will Quinn Ewers do enough this year to be a first-round pick? I have no idea who's drafted in the first round. I don't know what teams need quarterbacks. I do not make predictions like that. You got to play this year. I do not try to guess where people get drafted. It's the NFL. You don't know what GMs are doing. What do you think about Max Duggan? I don't. He's a mobile little guy. I like him. He's tough. Oklahoma has a lot of depth on defense and some good transfers that have impressed in the spring. Do you think Oklahoma's a top 25 defense? No, I don't rank them top 25 defense. I think they're a good team. Top 25 defense? I don't go there. Are you a fantasy football guy? I play fantasy football. I don't know what that means. Fantasy football guy sounds like a guy who just talks stats all day. I don't do that. But more power to you. Who's going to start at quarterback for Auburn? Not Peyton Thorne, right? So Robbie Ashford. Give me Robbie Ashford. Thoughts on Drew Aller in the Heisman convo? Stop talking about it. If Penn State can make a push with him. Yeah, stop talking about it. I don't think Drew Aller is him. So I'm not a fan of Drew Aller. I don't think he's good. I think if he was any good, he would have taken the job from Sean Clifford last year. When I see 5-star quarterbacks not take the job from a substandard quarterback, I don't believe in them. So you got to take it from him. Shout out to Cade Klubnik. Shout out to who was it? Who took the job at Clemson? Trevor Lawrence. You got to take the job. Is Ramsey Brooks going to give Colorado hell? Nah. If you could restructure or change anything about college football, what's 3 changes you'd make? 3? I got to make 3 changes? Number 1, I hate the overtime after 3 overtimes. I like the old overtime. I don't like when they go to the 2-point conversion, so I hate that change right now. I hate the fact they said they're not going to stop the clock after first downs. They changed the clock mechanism. It's only going to do that at certain points of the game. I'd change that right now. And the kickoff, I want it to be like the XFL kickoff. I love the XFL kickoff. So those are my 3 changes. You people get way ahead of them. Yep. Are Tennessee fans worse than Georgia fans? Nobody's worse than a Georgia fan. Thoughts on Nico Romaggio, the wide receiver from the Chiefs? So Nico is an undrafted free agent wide receiver out of Fresno State. I love everything Nico's doing, and I wanted him to get drafted. If you ever looked at my top 10 draft list, I hate when people try to say things and they can't prove it. I have my top 10 draft right here for everyone to see, and you will see in the middle are my long shots here that I was pulling for, and you see Nico number 2. So these are guys that are super long shots, hidden gems that nobody's talking about, and you just asked about one of my hidden gems. So when everybody tries to front on you like they knew players were good and all this stuff, I knew they were good. You can see it here. I had Zay Flowers ahead of JSN. I had Tank Dell number 1. Like, people don't understand. I really sit down and assess every player in America, and there you have it. That's proof. So thank you for asking about one of my guys. Some people can't prove it. Some people don't have a clue what it is to have receipts and have conviction, and here I am. I got it. Thank you for asking. That's awesome. I like that question. Fair take. Drew is the best high school player I've seen in person. Okay. Well, you need to get out. Get out there and watch a lot more. Do you think Jeff Brom succeeds, he will be hired away? No, I think it's his dream job. He's not going anywhere. I think he's at Louisville. That's him. They don't want him at other schools. He's a passing guy, and he's going to take his brother with him. So he and his brother are a package deal. Do you think Joe Milton is good enough to be a good NFL quarterback? Age has nothing to do with quarterbacks, guys. Please stop mentioning age when you talk about quarterback prospects. Age is irrelevant. It's an excuse. Quarterbacks play till they're 35. Quarterbacks play forever. Age does not matter at all. Okay, so please don't mention age. What's going to hurt Joe Milton is he's never won a quarterback battle in his life. That's what's hurting him. He's the incumbent starter right now just because Nico got there as a true freshman and they don't want to start him and burn the red shirt. But Joe Milton didn't beat out Hendon Hooker. He didn't win the job at Michigan and keep it. He doesn't win quarterback battles and win. So there's a problem there. He's got a huge arm, but he's not getting it done. Hopefully he does well. Josh Heupel can coach him up and get it done, but that's where I'm at on that. Is Quinn Ewers one of the top 3 most talented passers in college football? No. Rico, do you know? I don't know you, Luke. That's what I know. Will Levis can't even beat Malik Willis for backup. Is that expected or surprising? That's 100% expected, Seth. I told you guys, Will Levis cannot win a quarterback battle. He lost to Sean Clifford. He's never won a quarterback battle. Love that I was right on Tank Dell video on TikTok. Had me dying and hyped about him this season. You're damn right. Auburn Max wins this year, 6. Does the name Uncle Lou ring a bell? I don't know Uncle Lou. Rashid Rice said he was a dog and the Chiefs love him. Rashid Rice said he was a dog and the Chiefs love him. Yeah, he's great. I'm a diehard Eagles fan and season ticket holder, FYI. I don't watch college football. What kind of impact can I expect from all the Georgia players? Thanks in advance. Only some from one player. Jalen Carter's the only guy that's going to have any impact for you guys. The rest are all just kind of, good. I'm glad you got him. Do you think Deuce Vaughn will be the starting running back for the Cowboys? Tony Pollard's really, really good. Tony Pollard is also like the 3rd highest paid running back in the NFL. You're not going to bench the 3rd highest paid running back in the NFL, no matter what happens. Deion Brown is next up for real. Okay. I think Roscoe Johnson will be crazy all-around guy in the league. What do you think about him? I don't think that's true at all, and I don't think that's valid. I think you're wrong there. Thanks for pointing out about quarterback age. It gets overblown in the media, and I'm trying to get away with all that stuff definitely. Yeah, just get away from all of it. It's not real. No one gives a shit about your age. Like, they'll he's only 20. He's going to learn more and get better. No. Shut up. We don't care. You're going to start forever or be around. It is what it is. Hey, guys, sorry for the long show. Sorry for the late show, I should say. I was supposed to be here sooner. But just remember, don't talk sports with your friends because they don't know. But Rico knows. Shout out to everybody. You guys have a blessed night. Remember, I'm on vacation. I'm on vacation for the next week. I won't be doing live streams, but I'll definitely be posting content. Thanks for being here. Be safe, y'all. God bless.
naysayers and haters who made me one of the greatest. I know it kills you inside, that's why I do this for you. I do this for my father, who I've only seen from time to time in my dreams. I do this for you. I do this for my mother, who's finally clean, no longer a fan. I do this for you. I do this for my sister, my wife and my kids, cause they part of the team. I do this for all the naysayers and haters who made me one of the greatest. I know it kills you inside, that's why I do this for you.
I do this for the kids who sit a bit outside the mix, who maybe cope through humor just to fit in for a bit, who never let the world know when depression is setting in. To all of those who know you, that impression don't exist.